This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. It's Friday, January 7th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From the Associated Press, near-empty flights crisscross Europe to secure landing slots. Brussels Airlines has said it will need to fly around 3,000 passengerless or near-passengerless trips this winter in order to retain its reserved time slots at airports. And Lufthansa has said it will need to fly around 18,000 unnecessary flights over that same period to hold on to its landing reservations. These requirements have been around for a long time, but a spotlight has been put on them recently because the Omicron COVID wave has resulted in a lot of canceled trips, and thus a lot less need for flights. But regulations say if you don't use 80% of the time slots you've reserved, they'll be given to another airline. So these flights, with all the pollution they generate and time they waste for the legally and practically required airline crew, take off with or without passengers. The EU has recently cut that required usage to 50%, but there are calls from environmental groups and some political entities to reduce that figure further or to do away with them completely. From Axios, rapid nasal COVID tests feared to be returning false negatives, further complicating COVID testing issues in the US and in other places around the world, which rely on rapid result nasal swab antigen tests, are the findings of a recent study that suggest nasal swabs may fail to pick up on Omicron infections, giving many people who are infected false negative results. This study is small and still at the preprint stage, so it shouldn't be taken as a certainty, but it lines up with anecdotal reports and some other emerging data, indicating more accurate results are derived from saliva-based tests when checking for an Omicron infection, in contrast to other variants, which seem to show up fine using nasal swabs. We should have more certainty on this soon, but in the meantime, a lot of people may believe themselves to be uninfected and make decisions based on that seeming diagnosis, which could in turn lead to more infections. And from Reuters, Russia sends troops to put down Kazakhstan uprising as fresh violence erupts. A protest sparked by increased fuel prices spiraled into a nationwide series of riots in Kazakhstan, leading to the burning of several government buildings, the occupation of an airport, over 2,000 arrests, and 18 government security forces and an unknown number of protesters killed so far, according to official reports. The Kazakh president has asked Russia for military assistance, and Russia has sent paratroopers to help secure some of the hotspots. These protests have reportedly escalated in this way because of a collection of promises made by the government over the years to reform things so that less wealth accumulates at the top, and so there's more public input within the government, and that mostly hasn't happened. The fuel price increase seems to have been a spark that lit the fuse on these other slow-burning issues, and Russia is now getting involved because Kazakhstan is a very geographically large neighbor that used to be part of the Soviet Union, and which is a major source of important raw materials, including fuel, but also uranium. So Russia is keen to keep things peaceful and under control there, even if that means sending their soldiers into the middle of some pretty substantial riots. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.